Hey folks, welcome to Puzzle Spoilers. Today we're taking a look at the Sword and the Stone puzzle. This puzzle was designed by Gary Foshee and I believe was released by Bits and Pieces. I've only seen this puzzle come up for auction twice in many years of collecting. The puzzle seems to be related to Gary's puzzle Excalibur, which I think has a similar solution. Excalibur was Gary's International Puzzle Party exchange puzzle in 1999. My best guess is that this is maybe the more mass-produced version that Bits and Pieces produced, although I don't imagine too many of these puzzles were produced considering how rare it is. The goal of this puzzle is to remove this golden sword from the rock. Let me show you how to solve it. We'll notice that the sword spins freely and can go in and out of the stone ever so slightly, just a few millimeters. The first step here is to turn the puzzle upside down. When you move the puzzle side to side, you're going to hear a little metal ball inside the puzzle somewhere. We need to get that ball into a certain position so that we can push the sword in just a little bit further. The easiest way I've found to actually do this is to swing the rock around the sword. So if we hold the sword with our right hand and then we completely let go of the rock and then swing the rock around just like this, spinning the puzzle like this, I don't think damages or harms it in any way. The metal pieces feel very sturdy and the piece that this sword is connected to is also metal inside. You might have to try spinning clockwise, counterclockwise. You might want to pull the sword in and out a little bit and in and out also as you're spinning it, kind of in a thrusting motion. Eventually you'll feel the sword penetrate just slightly deeper into the stone. Once you feel that small movement, carefully tilt the puzzle into this orientation with the flat side on the left and the sword in the upper right position. And then we're going to rotate the sword and you'll feel that the sword completely gets stuck here. Now it feels like the sword is just completely locked in, but if we turn counterclockwise with just a little bit of pressure, the sword will unscrew completely from the stone. And we have solved the sword in the stone puzzle. Let's take a closer look here at the sword. It has a threaded end and it screws in just like a normal screw clockwise. And if we look in this hole, we can't actually see anything. We do see the threads and you're not going to be able to see on the camera, but there is a metal threaded casing in there. Looks pretty simple. Let's put the puzzle back together, then we'll talk about the mechanism. So first, take the stone and put it into this position, again with the hole in the upper right part. And then take your sword and put it in the hole and screw it back in clockwise. Screw it in until it won't go anymore and tighten it up. And the sword is going to be in that locked position. Then turn the puzzle over just like this and pull up on the sword and give the puzzle a little shake, and we're going to release that ball that's in there. And now the puzzle is reset. The sword will spin freely just like it did at the beginning of the solve, and we're back to our unsolved position. I do have the original instructions that came with the puzzle. My solution is definitely more repeatable than this solution. The second step on these official instructions didn't actually work for me. I came up with that swinging technique on my own and it seems to be a lot more repeatable. The instructions say just to move the puzzle side by side until you don't hear that ball rattling anymore, but I haven't found that to be a reliable way to solve the puzzle actually. The rest works just fine. Let's take a look at this diagram. I made this to show how I think the internals function. This yellow piece represents the sword. This purple piece represents an internal cylinder. The sword is screwed into the cylinder. The sword and the cylinder act as one unit and spin freely within this cylinder. That's why we can't unscrew it easily. We also have a small ball bearing in there, and also this channel here where a small pin sits. The pin can come into contact with a channel within the cylinder itself. I believe there's another channel in here somewhere where this ball bearing can go. The ball bearing is preventing the cylinder from aligning correctly with this channel. We can imagine this pin being in the left side of this channel. At that point, it does not interact with the cylinder. Once we get the ball bearing out of the way, the pin then can align correctly with the cylinder and come into this position where it's locked. In the locked position, the pin is connected both to the cylinder and to the surrounding stone structure, therefore locking up the tube entirely. Since the tube can't spin freely anymore since it's locked up by that pin, that's when we can screw out the sword easily. I believe the spinning technique, this one here, solves both of these problems simultaneously, the ball problem and the pin problem. Centrifugal force forces these two things into the correct spot simultaneously. That moves the ball into the correct spot and aligning the pin correctly so that the entire internal tube is locked up. The other version of this puzzle, called Excalibur, can be disassembled easily, so we're able to see how that puzzle works a lot better, and we can assume that this puzzle works sort of similarly. I can't take this apart. I don't want to remove this felt lining on the bottom. I think that would reduce its value, and I don't feel any screws or access points underneath the felt padding here. It seems like this may have been completely cast in some kind of plastic, and the internals might be completely wrapped with that plastic material. I'll put a link below to where you might be able to find this puzzle at auction. If you found the video interesting, please consider liking and subscribing. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. That's it for today, folks. I'll see you on the next video.